Welcome to the first episode of It's My Legacy podcast. I am your host, Legacy, and today I have some really sad news that actually came to me a bit late. But it was brought to my attention today that the amazing and incomparable host of the Art Laboe Connection on K-Day FM in Los Angeles has passed away, Mr. Art Laboe himself. And I gotta admit, it definitely brought tears to my eyes. Art Laboe was a radio DJ in Los Angeles. He was, honestly, and I'm not exaggerating, he was truly the pulse of the city. He was just incredible at what he did, and he would host a show. He was on many different radio stations throughout his career, but he hosted the Art Laboe Connection on K-Day every Sunday from about 7 to midnight. I believe it was from 6 o'clock to midnight, but when I looked it up, it said 7, but I remember it being from 6, so I could be wrong. He recently died at the age of 97. So today is October 19th, and he actually passed away on October 7th from pneumonia. His last show was actually recorded on October 6th and played on October 9th. And so today I just wanted to pay tribute to Art Laboe and talk about what his legacy means to me. I might get a little choked up. I can literally feel the tears coming right now. So I just want to talk about what his legacy has been. I played that song, I Love You for All Seasons, and that's from The Fuzz. It's definitely an oldie but goodie, and that is a phrase that he coined, oldies but goodies. I remember growing up listening to Art Laboe, and my father was really into oldies. There was a 20-some-odd year age difference between my mother and my father, and my dad really loved country, he loved R&B, and he loved, really good oldies. He had a great taste in music, and I would remember riding around with him in his truck and just listening to oldies on Sundays. And I mean, at the age of, I think maybe 3 or 4, Always and Forever by Heatwave became my favorite song. I remember hearing it on the radio, but I also remember hearing it in the movie House Party. You know, with our legacy, people think that in order to have such an impactful life or to leave an impact and influence in this world, that you have to do something so grand. And really, it's just being good at what you do. You know, it could be fixing cars. It could be teaching. It could be writing. It could be working at the grocery store, and just how you are experienced. And I feel like the experience of someone is probably the greatest part of their legacy. How did someone experience you? You know, I had someone tell me one day, they said, you may remember how you felt about someone or how they have treated you, but you don't know how they experienced you. And that is so powerful. As powerful as it was, is as powerful as it will always be. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break and play some oldies but goodies for Art Laboe. This is for you, Art.
For so many reasons.
I want to go deeper into what it was like to experience Art Laboe every Sunday and what it did for it. It was a culture in its own. And I definitely want to talk about that. I feel myself getting choked up, so I don't apologize because this is real emotion. But I remember listening to him as a child in my father's tow truck, riding with him, you know, in the streets, and just listening to good oldies music. And Art Laboe would have where people would call in every Sunday and they would, you know, shout out the person that they loved. A lot of times you would get a lot of people who were locked up, and you know, it would be a lot of times their girlfriends or their mothers, their friends, their homies calling to send them a message. And you would always kind of think, damn, that person that they're speaking about is locked up in a cell, and this makes them feel seen. Oh, I'm getting choked up. This makes them feel seen. I know that they're not forgotten. And Art would play that recording for you, and you know, they would request a song and it would be a good oldie like GQ, I Do Love You, or you know, oh my god, it would be Etta James or the Four Tops, or it was just the Temptations, and the song would always correlate with their message, and you'd always hear somebody, you know, counting down the days till they saw them, or, you know, a man calling in to put a song on for his wife, or it was just so beautiful. It was like the soundtrack to people's love letters for each other. And most people would never expect a radio DJ to have such an impact on people. And I mean, this man did this until he was 97. And the impact was how he made people feel. He made you feel seen, even through a phone call. He made you feel embraced, even through a song, even playing the song, or through the radio. And sometimes we think we have to do extravagant things for people to remember how we made them feel, and something as simple as playing a song for them at their request can really leave an impact to thinking of those people that are locked up. Or I remember this one guy called in and he dedicated a song to his wife and their kids, and he talked about how he was going to be home soon. You had truck drivers who called. You had, you know, girlfriends and people who got into arguments and they were calling to make up with a song. And it was just like, just to know you weren't forgotten about. So I'm going to play another clip of a song for Art Laboe. And I'm going to do it in his style, the way he would have done it. And I will come back. We're going to keep talking about this. Stay tuned.
Honest you do, honest you do. Whoa, I know. I know when you hold me. Whoa, whenever you kiss me. Honest you do. At first I thought it was infatuation. Never
So as a kid, I spent a lot of time alone. If I wasn't with siblings and things of that nature. And I remember at a time in my teenage years, moving out of South Central LA, and I was living with my father at the time, and I went to live in San Bernardino. And my father would make the commute from San Bernardino to LA every single day, which was about 75 miles one way. So he was never really home. He would leave early in the morning to beat traffic, and he would come home late at night to beat traffic. It wasn't too late, though. He would come home I could expect him about 9. And I remember on Sundays, I would blast his speakers and play Art Laboe. And it was the time when I didn't feel like I was alone. I felt, I felt hugged and through the music. And that is so powerful. I felt hugged through the phone calls of people who felt forgotten, because I too had felt forgotten. I wasn't communicating with my family at the time. You may hear sirens in the back, by the way, because I am doing this podcast outside. And there is a fire across from me. And I was wondering about if that was a fire. I was like, is it a fire? It's a lot of smoke. It looks like a fire. And now I'm hearing sirens. So that confirms what I already saw, that there's smoke and there's a fire. And so that's happening across from me. So anyways, I felt seen, even though I was very alone. And I felt like the power of the music, that it connected everybody that was listening to it. And it was just such a great feeling. And, Art Laboe had such a big role in the communities, especially, you had Black people calling, you had Mexican people calling, you had that rift, which I remember growing up, there was a big rift between the Blacks and the Mexicans. And during that time of listening to Art, it just felt like that didn't exist. Not because one was speaking to the other, but it was just like we were all just calling for people that we loved. And so the only thing that was consistent in that moment was love. Was love that you were trying to display with sharing your sentiments and backing it up with a song. And I hope in my journey that my legacy, I always say my legacy is not about the wealth that I acquire. It's not even about the work that I do or my art. My legacy is how I made people feel loved and how I made them feel seen. And I would definitely say Art Laboe made us feel seen without even seeing our faces, without even knowing our names. And that's a hell of a legacy to have. I mean, I had no idea that he passed away. I'm not in LA, so I didn't know. And it just came up on my YouTube, because I was like, well, what? I need to do a podcast. What should my topic be? And then it just popped up, and I started crying. Like, what? How impactful do you have to be? Mind you, I mean, this might be a little TMI, but I was taking a shit. And and I just saw rest in peace, Art Laboe. And I was like, what? And I immediately just started crying. I mean, you never hear that. You never hear that for a DJ. Like, how incredible is that? I want to make people feel so great that it's not that my death makes you cry, but the nostalgia of what I brought into your life, whether it was one time or throughout, I want that to be significant, and I want it to be beautiful. And I'm okay if that's what matters and remains and is left behind. Because Maya Angelou said it best. People don't remember what you did for them. They remember how you made them feel. You know, people remember how you make them feel. If they had a positive encounter, if they had a negative. And I know that there's going to be some negative ones, but damn, if I can make you feel joy, like you're not alone, like you're special, like you matter, that's a hell of a legacy to leave behind. And Art Laboe, being who he was, and how he helped so much. I mean, he was a part of so much, but just his radio show, you shed light on a community that was so invisible, except for the negative aspects of it. And you showed our humanity and our love and our care for one another when the media did the complete opposite and banked off of the propaganda and the pain, exploiting the pain of these communities. And he showed the humanity of us. And getting choked up again. And that is something that we are so grateful for. And I know he's 97, and, you know, a lot of times I'll say someone lives a long life, and I'm like, well, how long did you expect them to go? But it still hurts. It still hurts. And although he was 97, I'm still emotional about it. I used to drive rideshare, and my favorite day to drive in LA was Sunday, because I knew there was no traffic. Everybody was real calm, cool, and collective. They're having mimosas. They're getting ready for the week. They're doing laundry. Everybody was just real chill. And then I knew that at a certain time, Art Laboe was gonna come on, and I'm not putting on no playlist. I'm literally just turning on K-Day, and that's all we listening to. And I wish somebody would say something different. No, we not turning the radio. Art Laboe's on. I don't even want to talk, okay? I don't even want to talk. Art's talking with the music. Like, that's what it is. Be quiet. And I used to make the most money on Sundays, and I think it was because the music was so damn good. So, to Art Laboe, please rest in such paradise and the power of love that you put on this earth. I mean, how incredible and significant. And it just goes to show it doesn't matter what you do. You have the power to be a light and an ear and a heartbeat to your community. And that's what he created. And then he had concerts that people, oh my God, they would pack out his concerts. What? And it would be all the good groups would come that were still living, and they would come and perform. It was always a big thing. Listening to Art Laboe was like listening to a lowrider album, which anyone, I don't know if you guys know about the lowrider classics, but it's like, so lowriders are like these cars, like they have like hydraulics on them. It's a whole culture in LA, and they play the best oldies, right? And so they used to have this mixed CD, and it was lowrider classics. I remember being like 9 years old, and my father calling me and asking me what I wanted for my birthday, and I was like, Daddy, I want all your lowrider albums. And he literally sent them to me, and it was the greatest moment of my life because it was all I listened to. And I was so freaking happy about it. And then we're not going to talk about what happened to the CDs because I still need to heal from that. But just I mean, man, good song after good song, Richie Valens, and, God, I'm trying to think of them off the top of my head. There's so many, Barbara Mason, and, oh my God, Lord, I'm trying to think. I'm literally going blank. There's so many, like, just flowing through my head right now. Like, it's crazy. So I'm just going to play a few of them, and we're going to do it up. I wish I was drinking.
be your guide. But I know deep down inside of me, I believe you love me. Forget your foolish pride. Life is too short to have sorrow.
So I want to make this a bit short. Not really. It's me talking. Who am I kidding? But I have a question. When you think of what you want your legacy to be, what do you see yourself leaving behind? And how do you feel that those who knew you would react? I mean, we know that grief is a given. But what do you think individually they would feel? Would they feel when they think back to the memories of you? How would they experience you? When I look back and I think, a lot of times when people die, they either enter sainthood, where nothing they did wrong and they were a saint, even though they weren't, or they're demonized. But if someone was really thinking of their experience with you as it was, not embellished by grief, how do you think they would say that they experienced you? And is that an experience or a memory that you would want them to have forever? When my sister passed away, there were good times and there were bad times. When someone passes that you loved very much and there has been forgiveness for whatever, the good times stick out more than the bad. I've noticed when there's unforgiveness, the pain is what comes and stares you in the face more than the nostalgia of good things. And with her, it was something as simple as sitting and listening to music. When she, days before she died, she was in the hospital to get a very simple surgery. And I remember there was a point where I just turned everything off. I turned off the TV. I turned off everything. And I just played John Legend, Tonight. At that time, it was around, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man had just come out. So this song was really big. And we just sat quiet and we just listened to music. And we were just in that moment. Now I'm really going to fucking cry. Lord Jesus. And to this day, when I hear that song, I know it's her way of trying to communicate with me. But it's also, you hear that song, any song, you hear a song and it takes you back to the moment. Music is so powerful that way. It takes on our senses. Anything can bring back a memory. a scent, a sound, a smell, brings on an experience that was either experienced or one that you would want to have. And in that moment of listening to John Legend with my sister, she's in a hospital bed, I'm in the chair next to her, there was peace, just unspeakable peace and joy. And I don't think I've ever been more present in my entire life. When can you think of a time that you were most present with someone? And how did that make you feel? And when they look back, how will that make them feel? And are you happy with that? That's a deep ass question to ask yourself. I know it's brought tears to my eyes. I hope these are the things that we think about as we encounter people. Hey, there's always going to be negative interactions. Give yourself grace. But set the intention that when someone is in your presence, it is an experience, because it will stay with them. And may it be one that is so positive and heartwarming that when you go or they leave, it makes room in their heart for joy.
Baby, tonight's the night we lose control. Baby, tonight you need that. Tonight, believe that. Tonight, I'll be the best you ever had. I don't wanna brag, but I'll be the best you ever had.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I once again would like to thank Art Laboe for what he contributed to this world and what he contributed to my life, and what he contributed to so many of us living in Los Angeles. And, we lived in LA. He reached us in San Bernardino. You heard him in the Inland Empire. We thank you, and may you get the rest that you deserve, because you gave it all to the last day, literally. And I want to thank you for taking the time out to tune in and be present and be in the moment with me. I'm so grateful for you. I hope that you subscribe to my podcast and that we are able to meet this way again very soon. I am your host, Legacy. It has been an absolute pleasure. Until next time, remember that every day, whether you remember it or not, is something being added to what you'll leave behind. Make sure it's something great. Make sure it's something special. And most of all, make sure that it is filled with love.